Let's go a Viking on Viking Hot Takes.
Viking Hot Takes. Welcome to week 3, the Minnesota Vikings versus the Seattle Seahawks. The first home game for our Purple, who desperately need a win. I'll be there in person. Eric, you'll be there in person. Buckle up and let's go. Eric, how are you, man?
I am so excited for Sunday, and a little scared, of course, because the Vikings are staring 0-3 or 0-4 in the face. But it's home. It's the first time. I think it's going to be in like 636 days. There's going to be fans, a packed stadium in U.S. Bank Stadium. It's going to be loud. It's going to be wild. It's a late afternoon game. A little extra time for tailgating. It is going to be a blast.
Cannot wait. And you know what? Those excitement moments of excitement, those moments of fear, I'm just ready to feel again. Feel Vikings football live. Let's get to talking about the game, talking about all those emotions. Dave, let's get the clock started. And Eric, I'm going to go first, and it's going to be a recognizable question. How many kicks in a row does Greg Joseph need to make to prevent your heart from pumping out of your chest?
Well, this was obviously a question with our guy Ryan last week, and I understand why
Mhm.
you're asking it again, because I think we had to kind of reset the clock on that one, because after a good week one, there was a missed extra point and that little matter of missing the game winner at the end of the game. So
Yeah,
last week I said it was going to be 39 or whatever it was to surpass Gary
you,
Anderson's field goal
you
streak.
made a
This
little
week.
bit of a joke out of it.
Yeah. So this week, no, now I have a more serious one. Now,
Oh,
before I'm actually completely okay with it, I have a new number. It's 123 because before, because listen, before Gary Anderson missed that infamous field goal in 1999,
Mhm.
1998 championship game played in 1999, he had made 122 straight kicks, and that was, of course, when the extra point was literally a chip shot. It was 20 yards. But so he's going to
Wow.
have to make 123 now in order for me to feel comfortable, because it's Vikings kickers. I mean, Justin Tucker could come in tomorrow and he could miss 6 field goals. I'm convinced it's as soon as they don that Vikings jersey, it just absolutely goes to hell. So that there's no other explanation. That's, I
Wow.
mean,
You're
there,
down in the
it just
dumps
defies.
about this one.
Well, it's so many times. I saw the Skull Memes guy did like the same Spider-Man meme, except there were like 8
Hmm.
Spider-Mans, and there was Greg Joseph, Blair Walsh. I'm sick of it. Just make the kicks, especially the big ones.
Just make
So how many? So
so
are you on the same wavelength? Or are you just gonna, hey, it's gonna happen
I think
sometimes?
123 is much higher of a number than I had. And I get it because every year, every preview article about the Vikings this year, they talked about better special teams play. We ranked 31st in like every category, 30th in kicks inside 50 yards. So you're like, okay, new guy, it will get better. And it's is it a bad start for Greg Joseph? I don't know that it is when you actually look at the kicks he has made this year. Maybe it was just a hiccup early on in the season. I still think you can give this guy time. He's not Dan Carlson. He's not Gary Anderson.
I w-
He's not Blair
I wish
Walsh.
it was Dan Carlson. Dan Carlson hasn't missed since week 8 of last year. I'd love to have Dan Carlson back up. But of course, if he's on the
Yeah,
Vikings, he misses 17 more field goals. That's what I'm getting at. It's like it's almost like if you love someone, let them go. And I don't think Joseph should be cut after that
yeah.
one field goal miss and one extra point. Overall he's had an okay season. It's man, the game winner, 37 yards. He's nailed.
Yeah.
He's already had three, all these 50-yard field goals, and it's just, I mean, they're already playing the greatest hits. I mean, this is the back-to-back games already, and it's like the heartbreak. It's already right back to what we know and loathe so much.
He will be fine. He'll be fine. That field goal was the first kick he's actually attempted under 50 yards. He's already made 3 50-yarders this season. Okay. So I think he goes back to his career average, which is 90% of his extra points, 83%, 85% of his field goals. He'll be fine. Just give it some time. Don't freak out like Dan Carlson. At least he has a little bit of a track record, and he's young
That's fair. That's fair. Okay.
and cheap.
So I'm going to switch to the other team of players that we're worried about. So which Seahawks player are you most worried about for the Week 3 matchup with the Vikings?
Okay, so everything I say on this show from here on out, Eric, it's because I want to make sure that the Minnesota Vikings and their fans go into this weekend prepared. I am most worried about Tyler Lockett. Honestly, that's not my real answer because my real answer will come at the end of the show. But
Okay.
I'm also honestly worried about more than one Seahawk, and Tyler Lockett certainly counts in that. Speed wide receivers have been a problem for Minnesota in both games. Jamar Chase, Rondale Moore. Tyler Lockett's better than both of them. I mean, he's going for 23 yards per reception with 3 touchdowns scored already this year. So he's going to be the best deep threat we face yet. Maybe in the league right now, they're going to need perfect communications along the back four. And Lockett's going to test that because they haven't had this year. So I don't know who they put on him. If it's Peterson, that matchup would be a huge way to win this game, to swing this game if Peterson and the safeties Smith and Woods can hang with Tyler Lockett. Who's scaring you?
Well, that is actually who I had on the top of my list as well. And I mean, look, just think about it. I mean, what have the Vikings been getting destroyed on this year in the passing game? It's been big plays, and Tyler Lockett
Mm-hmm.
has literally been nothing but big plays. He is averaging 17.6 air yards per target this season through the first 2 games, and
Yep.
he still caught 12 of those 16 passes. That's incredible. It's basically chucking it 20 yards downfield, and 3 out of 4 times he's coming down with it. That is a really scary proposition. Obviously, I don't
Scary.
think that's going to sit there the rest of the season. But I mean, the part that we're all worried about, of course, we're going to get to the quarterback in a later question, and he's obviously the guy that has never lost to the Vikings. We're going to talk about him a little later. But I'm a little worried about
Yeah.
DK Metcalf too, because they have that other
Yeah.
guy on the other side who is literally built like an action figure. He looks like Danielle Hunter playing wide receiver, and he's had a relatively quiet start to the season. I think just over 100 yards through the first 2 games. But remember who caught that game-winning touchdown last year on
Oh
that
my
fourth quarter drive?
goodness.
And that's
He's going to test him
it's a
too.
yeah, I mean there's quite an arsenal on that Seattle offense. So I think you could take either one, and yeah, I think you'd have the right answer because there's a lot to be worried about, especially on the offensive side of the ball for Seattle. So what do you got for your next question?
Oof. Okay, Eric. So pick one. The offense will get worse, or the defense will get better.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's a lot of room for improvement on the defense. So I'm going to say the defense will get better because I think there's just more room for it to do that. And I think the offense, there is some room for improvement, and there's definitely room for some regression as well. It's especially with the offensive line. They played a lot better in week 2 than week 1. It was serviceable, but again, I think that's all the offense really needs to chug along and be a pretty good offense is to have okay pass protection, and the offensive line did that in Arizona. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, that was they put up 33 points. Second half was a um, little lackluster, but I mean that first half, I mean they followed that game script and they were marching up and down the field. And I just think that the the defense will get better. This was a lot of new pieces. The defensive line hasn't been quite up to what we would think, especially against the run. But again, it's going to take some time for so many new players to find their spot. And I mean, it really has come down to the end of the half, especially the first half. I mean, I think they've allowed 24 points or something like that between the 2-minute warning and halftime. That's almost impossible to do. Usually, you don't get the ball twice, and they're allowing scoring drives twice before each half or each halftime. So as long as they can kind of, that's been the one, the third down percentage has been fine for the first couple games. It's just been getting burnt by the big plays. And of course, Seattle's not usually the best team you want to go against to get better in that department. But if they
Hmm.
can take that away, I think they're going to perform a lot better. This is, statistically, it seems they look a lot like the 2020 defense, and that just can't happen with all the people they have. But maybe with Anthony Barr returning, maybe with a couple of pieces just getting a little more used to it, I think there's a little more for room for the Vikings to improve there. And I think the offense will be good. They might have up and down games, but the way that Cousins and everyone else has
Hmm.
started, I think they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, and the fans are agreeing with you. They're saying the defense will get better. Mary Fisk in the comments. I see Carl Brodeen, Jeffrey Klein. Great to have you with us on Viking Hot Takes. Eric, let's get to the next question.
All right. So, which player do the Vikings need to return from injury more? Do they need Anthony Barr to return or Christian Darrisaw?
So, man, it's a really good question, Eric. I almost went with Anthony Barr here because what we talked about, like you said earlier with Lockett, the two deep look, the Vikings are probably going to have to be forced into do two high safeties that will open them up for the run. Anthony Barr would really help give them some extra punch there over Nick Vigil. Ultimately, though, I think left tackle is always more important than off-ball linebackers. So I actually go Darisaw here. He's honestly the missing puzzle piece to the offensive line right now. Any upgrade there would be a massive boom to the offense this year. You just have to make sure Darisaw is healthy and ready. Once that happens, let's just go for it. Throw him in there and let's see what he's got. Who are you going with?
Yeah, I was torn on it, and that's kind of why I asked the question in the first place, because I can definitely see an argument for both sides. And since you said
Mm-hmm.
Darrisaw, I'll lean Barr. But I mean, it's
Okay.
both. They could definitely use both, because Hill is it like the other four pieces of the offensive line have been fine. O'Neill's been really good. Udo's been about as good as you can expect for a first year starter at that right guard, especially when he's moving inside. Bradbury had a much better game in week 2 than he did in week 1, and I think Cleveland is finally getting used to that left side. So there's been a lot of progress. Hill's been definitely the weak link out of that at left tackle. He's kind of shown why he's been a career backup swing tackle. So, but Barr, he can do a lot of stuff for this defense. It's been a while. I mean, it's been now a full calendar year since Barr has played in the game. He got hurt in week 2, the beginning of the week 2 game last year. We're going into week 3 of 2021. So it has been a full season's worth of games that Anthony Barr has missed. He can
Mm-hmm.
still bring a lot of different things. And Nick Vigil's been okay, but he's been kind of a liability, and especially where he's hitting the gaps, I think, and in the run defense has been a bigger problem from him. But he's made a couple impact plays as well. But Barr his versatility and what he can bring to the defense is still really important. And again, like I touched on in the last question, I think that just that the defense has so much more room to improve, it could make a bigger difference in the outcomes of games, at least the way that the team has been playing through the first 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good answer. And like you said, it's really close. I mean, hopefully we're getting both of them back and we get, the same two halves of the same pie. So, all right, Eric, let's make it a little fun cuz this is a big weekend for us. Uh what's your record? What's the Vikings record when you are in live attendance?
So when you sent me this question, I actually I tried to walk back through, and I think my
Yeah.
first game was like 9 or 10 years old. So I have 30
Oh my
years of
god.
games I've been going to,
That's
lifelong Minnesota resident.
amazing.
Yeah, so I couldn't go and get the exact record. That's for sure. I couldn't remember
Mhm.
exactly which ones I have and haven't gone to, because I mean, for the last I've lived in the Twin Cities since 2007. I've gone to at least 2, 3, 4 games a year since then.
Yeah.
So but overall, I think I would guess somewhere around the 75 or 80% win rate. Like I've been lucky
Mhm.
to, and again, some of these are kind of the throwaway game. Like the last game at the Metrodome is a really good example. Like that
Mhm.
meaningless win over the Lions. That was,
Right.
I've been to a bunch of those at the end. That's because tickets tend to be a little cheaper when those throwaway home games when there's nothing on the line at the end. And the Vikings are notoriously pretty good at winning those games, so that probably bumps up the winning percentage. But even the away games I've been to, I think the Chiefs away game last year
Mm-hmm.
or in 2019, I think that was the first road game that I had gone to that they had. Oh no, the second one. I had been to a Bears game in Soldier Field. That was my first Soldier Field game. They lost by a point or something like that. But overall, it's been pretty good. Like that's so. I'm hoping, I it's not like my attendance makes a lick of difference, but it's nice to think that that it's nice to enjoy more wins than not. And it's going to be I'm just so excited about having that atmosphere back. Like my family and I went to the US Bank Stadium practice.
Mm-hmm.
It was just being back, and we did a little footage for a commercial that they're showing throughout the season. You can see like our
Really?
arms. Yeah, we didn't get in. I don't like at least the cut that they showed us that like we're not getting. The only one that you might see us in is before the Sunday night football game against Dallas. We might there's an extra clip of us there. But anyway, just going back to the stadium and sitting in those seats, even with nothing on the line, and there just the practice, it was like, okay, I remember this is why you go to the games, this is why you pay too much for why you pay $13 for a beer, this is
Yeah.
why you're worried about, like, this is it having almost 2 full years of missing out. And I think the last game I
Getting
went
back
to
into the
was,
swing.
yeah, like the last game I went to, I think was the Eagles game of 2019. So that, or the last at US Bank Stadium at least. So that was like week 6 of 2019. So it's been way too long. I'm excited to be back there, and hopefully they're above average record when I'm in attendance. And especially if you're coming
Mm-hmm.
out, we got to show Flip a win, right?
Oh man, it'd be a dream, and I'd love to see you in the comments. Eric just shared some amazing stories. If you're in the comments, let us know what your record is when you're in live attendance. Like Eric said, I will also be in attendance. This is uh this is like my 8th game. This is my 8th Vikings game ever, because I'm a transplant. I've been out of Minneapolis so long, but I've seen a lot of road games. So Nashville 2008, Atlanta 2017, LA Chargers 2019. I have not been to a home game in 5 years, but that one home game I have been to at US Bank Stadium was opening night. So
Ooh,
yeah, I'm telling you, if they win Sunday, if they beat their nemesis Seattle to start to dig out of an 0-2 hole during the first true home game in 760 days, Eric, I heard the excitement in your voice. We're going to make Flip coming back to Minnesota a tradition. Climbing Pocket will be there in force. So
yeah,
I'll just get to
absolutely.
visit
I mean,
before the
that's
winter kicks
it's
in.
yeah, it's going to have that first game of the stadium kind of feel. I mean, obviously, most of the fans have probably
Mhm.
been there at least a couple times before, but like, it's going to be. I mean, I'm just going to, I'll be slightly nervous about other things and issues about large crowds and everything, but for the most part, I think
Mhm.
it's gonna feel so good to be back in that kind of atmosphere. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you see the home record at since US Bank Stadium opened, the Vikings are the home field advantage really helps. The only time they've had a losing record at home at US Bank Stadium was last year. Granted, that had a lot to do with the defense getting hurt and all that stuff, but I really think it makes a difference, and that's kind of the greatness about having uh, fans in the stands, having that home field advantage back. It's kind of, it feels like as stadiums get bigger and a little more corporate and the crowds get a little more sanitized, that home field advantage has kind of been taken away. I have a feeling it's going to be real loud in there on Sunday, especially if the Vikings can get off to a good start.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. So
All right. Well,
take it
speaking of
away,
that
Eric.
game, yep. Speaking of that game, my final question. You hinted at it a little bit. The Seahawks have been the bane of the Vikings' existence since Russell Wilson came to town. He is 7-0 against the Vikings, including the playoffs. Will his record be 8-0 or 7-1 by Sunday evening?
Eric, you already knew. I told you, he Tyler Lockett was not the only person that I'm scared of on Sunday. here is the other answer. And, you know, the thing about Russell Wilson is he hasn't always played well against the Vikings, but he always finds a way.
Look at Dave
And
putting up Russell Wilson scrambling around right on our screen too.
he just finds a way. And when you talk about this possibly being a more defensive game, that favors Russell Wilson because he finds a way. And when you talk about this possibly being a high scoring game, Russell Wilson turns into a supercharged version of Kyler Murray. Okay. He finds a way. And so, can our offense keep pace with that? Can they throttle up and throttle down the same way Russell Wilson does? I'm not sure that's true. If you look at some of the per drive statistics, you know, they're only 11th in scoring right now, okay? And they've been the beneficiary of both some short drives into field goal range. And
Yep.
the Minnesota Vikings, honestly, have been two things good on offense. Number one, they protected the football well, only one turnover. And number two, they've been great in the red zone. Otherwise, they're relying on long field goals. So I don't know if we get it done against Russell Wilson. What do you think?
I gotta say 7-1, right? I can't go into that game thinking I'm probably picking with my heart. I'm definitely picking with my heart over my head because the Seahawks have had the Vikings number forever, but with that crowd, with that energy, with it being really kind of a must-win game here for the Vikings, and although the Seahawks have been unbeatable, they've been so close so many times. They're going to get over the hump on Sunday, maybe. I don't know, but I think so. That's what I think. Yeah, I'll say it. Go Vikes. We're gonna get that first win on Sunday.
Oh man! All right, what's your score prediction?
I'll say I think we're in for a shootout. I think 30-27. I'll say right now.
30-27 Vikings.
Yep.
All right, fans. I wanna hear your score prediction. I'm gonna go with 21 to the Vikings, 35 to the Seahawks.
Oh, I hope I am right. But
I hope you are right too.
I would not be shocked if you were right. But thank you so much for everyone in the comments. It was real fun. Shout out to our girl Mary, always supporting Climbing the Pocket. Marco, thanks for coming in too. Good to see you out on the chat and not just in the Twitter replies too. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. It was a blast.
Absolute blast. Hey, we're gonna bring that place down. Win or lose, we're gonna be heard on Sunday. All right, Skol Vikes.
Absolutely. Let's go.
Thank you for watching or listening. As always, if you like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. And if you're listening to the podcast, please rate us on your favorite aggregator. Skol, everybody.